Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Oh, no.
Hello and welcome to Blackmans Bay Studios, and in the latest of what's proved to be a very popular series of minisodes about people we've known from around St Paul's Cray and the surrounding areas, we're taking yet another trip down leafy Breakspears Drive, aren't we, Keith?
Of course, it's the only way to go, isn't it? Only way to go. Yeah, look, we're doing this one on day Thorne, you know, yeah. Thorne as I say. And I was going to say right from the off that this one won't feature any sort of bodily functions.
No.
You know, or, you know, and Dave didn't really get up to any outrageous stuff.
No, he was a good friend, wasn't he?
And we've called this one The Wacky World of Dave Thorne, and for good reason.
Yeah, he was a bit different from us, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, you know, he tried to and was getting into everything he could, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, you know, I was in the same class at school with Dave right the way through midfield, and yeah, and then we were sort of almost inseparable. We had our first drink together. We played our first darts together. I'll talk a bit more about that in a while. So we really did it, you know, used to go up the Daylight Inn and have a few beers up the Daylight Inn with him, and you know, it's interesting times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, definitely.
Now, what do you remember, first of all, I suppose, about Dave?
Well, there's one outstanding thing about Dave, wasn't there?
Yes, go on. Dave was your original Billy Two Shits.
Yeah, he was.
Back in the day, you know. If he always, what did he start sentences with, Mick?
That's nothing. How many times did we hear that? Eh?
Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah.
And it wasn't a wind-up, was it?
No. He was.
No.
Like I say, whatever you did, he had something big or better though.
Yeah.
You know, and in some cases he did. We caught him out one day though, and we was in a Wimpy bar up at Sidcup, and well, you could tell the story, Mick, couldn't you?
Well, the funny thing was, Keith told me, he said, I've got a test for Thorne, but wouldn't tell me what it was. So we're sitting in the Wimpy bar, me and Keith sitting together and Dave sitting opposite us, and in the course of conversation Keith said, I found out something funny today, and I thought, here it comes. Now the thing is, Keith had a very poker face. He loved to laugh and joke, but could keep a poker face. I couldn't. You know, I couldn't stop laughing, so it was, I thought, here it comes, so I've got to hold me laugh. So Keith said, I found out today that I know a bloke who knows a bloke who knows a bloke who knows the Queen. And Thorne went, that's nothing, I know a bloke who knows the Queen.
Straight
just like that, straight out.
Yeah. And what's the other thing? Because he could get us a tank, couldn't he? Yes. Delivered to your door.
Any piece of military hardware, delivered to you, even a Centurion tank, on a transporter, delivered to your door.
Like we said that whatever Dave did, he was a little bit wacky. What about the old Hudson car? Was it a Hudson?
It was, well, supposedly.
I think it was.
Dave rolled up in a car, he said it was called a Hudson. I'd never even heard of it. But it was a great big black thing, wasn't it? One
of these massive old, like you see in the old gangster films, wasn't it? Yeah.
So anyway, we got in it. I got in the back, Keith got in the front, and I'm used to minis and Cortinas and Anglias and that, and I'm sitting in the back, and it was huge. I'm sitting in the back like this, 6'1" tall, large, stretched out, loved it. Went up the Wimpy bar again. They bumped up the curb, parked right outside, and I said something about, God, it's like a gangster car, and he went, yeah, he said, what I want to do, he said, I'm going to get a violin case, and he said, I'm going to cut a slot in it and build it up, so when I walk around it looks like I'm carrying a Thompson submachine gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, that's old Thorne, isn't it?
Bedrooms, Mick.
Yeah, bedrooms. Now, Dave had an unusual bedroom, to say the least. Now, when I'll compare it, I'm going to tell you a bit about my bedroom. Now, the reason being is that there was a bit of a rite of passage in our household. The eldest got the box room. So when it came to my turn to the box room, First time I'd ever slept in a room on my own. So I decorated it all out, painted it, and I thought at the back wall I'd have all these pictures on it. And the first one I drew was of the Cyclops with a big boulder just about to smash you on the top of the head with it. And I was quite proud of that, and I thought, yeah, you know, I'm on my way now. Imagine my shock when I walked into Thorne's bedroom, eh, Keith?
Unbelievable. He painted walls and ceilings deep purple, didn't he?
Yeah.
Absolute deep purple, and the trim was orange.
You had to have a light on even in the middle of the day, didn't you? It was so dark.
You know, you walk in and you go, whoa, look what like that, you know. And he
my bedroom looked like something out of Home and Garden.
I know.
Compared with
Dave's, I know. He was right into it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
All that, he was right into that sort of, I'll get this, you know, wackiness, I suppose, you know. And he had big pictures up on the wall of
Sandy Shore.
Yeah, he was right in the Sandy Shore.
Yeah, he had a thing for her.
Yeah, well, I reckon by today's standard, he could have been a stalker.
Yeah.
You know?
Because I never really fancied that Sandy Shore. I didn't quite get all the old bare feet thing and that, and I was more into the Who and Rolling Stones and Beatles and that. But I said something to Dave once that I didn't particularly like. I didn't think she was very good looking or anything, and he went ape shit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. And Dave never really got out of his pram at all.
No, no, not at all. But he did that.
He did that.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
mention anything about Sandy Shore?
Oh no. And what about the bed?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's about 2 inches from the ceiling. Right?
he must have slept with his head like that. It was on stilts, wasn't it?
It was a classic.
Yeah.
The other thing about Dave is, and I don't even know, see, he introduced me to the world of pen friends. Now he might not remember, but you know, I remember it. And we had 2 pen friends. He might have had more than me, but I had a girl that I was writing to in Poland. And I've got a funny thing, this was before I left school. And Dave used to write, I think Dave wrote to a girl in Poland or Russia or something like that. You know, it was actually quite fun back in them days writing to them, because they, you know, that was obviously behind the Iron Curtain. I told this girl that my mum was captain in England's women's cricket team. And Christ knows what Thorne said, I can't even remember. But he said to me one day, he said, I've got this pen friend, this girl, in from Willesden. He said, she wants to come down and see me with her mate. So I said, would you? I said, yeah, that's all right. You know, we'll meet them, you know, and take them round the sights of St Paul's Grave.
Oh yeah.
You know, have a look, you know, take them through the place, you know. And we ended up in Dave's house, and in his front room, in his bedroom. And Sunday afternoon, had to turn the lights on, and the table lamp, of course, you know. And you still couldn't see any. And these girls are going, what's it? What's going on here? They thought they walked into a mausoleum or something, you know. It was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
What about the fancy dress? Now, because Dave liked to dress up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we went up to the nurses had up Queen Mary's had a party in the hall up there, didn't they?
Fancy dress, Dave.
You went as
Frankenstein's monster, because I had the boots.
Yeah, he had a big pair of boots, so he'd done that. I went as a vicar with a bowler hat, and Dave went as Dracula, didn't he? Hmm. He had the top hat, he had the cloak. He really looked good, didn't he?
He did.
You know, he should have won it. Really, he didn't come anywhere. A girl in a grass skirt won it, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah. But
yeah,
he should have.
He should have won it. He was easily the best.
He was by far. Because Dave, he was, back in the late 60s, he was getting into the old flower power and all. I mean, it passed us by, didn't it?
Not for me.
Not Dave, you know. We had a party around his house, he's got flower petals everywhere, all up the garden, you know. He's like, just took the totally overboard with it.
Yeah.
And we used to thumb lifts everywhere, me and Dave. And we ended up, me, Dave and Kenny Osborne, we thumbed a lift down to Brighton one weekend. And that was the weekend where we had nowhere to stay. It was on a bank holiday weekend. And we ended up on a Saturday night kipping or breaking into one of those, you know, the old beach huts they had on them with the big wheels, you know. So it was 3 of us keeping in one of them. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. Me and Thorne woke up, and Osborne's behind us trying to push this black. I mean, they're a lump, aren't they? But he was getting up. He was trying to shove us in the sea, the bastard. You know? But the reason I mentioned it, on the way home. Now I don't know where Kenny went. I think because there was 3 of us, we were finding it difficult to get a lift. So Kenny went off and found a lift with somebody. Me and Dave standing there, and these 2 birds and a bloke pull up in this Hillman Imp, and it's got flowers all over it. These girls have got the flowers in their hair, you know, hey babe, you know, giving it all large, you know. Anyway, we get in there and Dave's giving it all the old flower power stuff, you know. I never had the heart to tell him, yeah, but he likes fucking Sandy Shore, doesn't he? You know.
Would have spoilt the image a bit, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would have done just slightly, just slightly. Like I say, me and Dave, we first started to play darts together on a Friday night down the Alma, and we were useless back in them days, you know. I mean, obviously I was a better player than Dave, but
of course.
We both had the gym pipe darts. Remember the gym pipe darts?
Yeah, of course.
And those gym pipe darts, he never let them out of his sight. You know?
Yeah.
Never let them out of his sight. We used to go down there playing on a Friday night, and you know, for a shilling a go, whatever it was. Never used to do any good. So we got friendly with, a girl called Christine Crawford, and she was actually our youth employment.
Yeah, in the labour exchange.
In the labour exchange, she was our youth employment officer, and you know, we got chatting to her one day. She wasn't that much older than us, but anyway, one Sunday we decided to go down and see her. She lived down at Bexley, right by the
229 bus
on the
route.
229 bus route, right on a corner. Well, she lived in a close, but the bus route stopped on the corner. So we get out there to wait for the 229 bus. Remember, it's a Sunday, so they're like stagecoach service. And there was a knothole on this fence, and you could barely get the gym pipe dart through the knothole. So we're throwing it at it, you know. But I didn't have mine; he only had his darts. So we're throwing these darts at the dartboard, or at this what's name. Bus came round the corner. Dave's gone whoomp like that, and it's gone straight. I'm not joking you, straight through the middle of this knothole. It had like half a millimetre each side clearance, and he's gone straight through it. And remember those fences that had a bit of brick, you know, maybe 10 quarters of brick, and then the wooden fence. That's what it was. So Dave's got his foot on. He's clambered over the fence. Don't know what would happen if anybody be in the back garden. And it was searching around on the grass and in the brush, you know. The 229 bus came round the corner. I said to the bloke, hang on a minute, mate. I said, he's just in the garden there trying to find his dart. Bloke's going, oh, I can't hang about for long. I can't hang about. Anyway, Dave said, I found it. Leapfrog over the fence and off we go. It was, you know, it was, you know, those days were quite funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, Dave worked with us over the ground.
Yeah, yeah, in the early days.
In the early days,
yeah.
You know, I remember him sitting there with old Mark Bolan, giving him large, old Mark, you know. Yeah. And because Dave liked, he liked Mark Bolan, and he was, you know, into that sort of stuff as well as Sandy Shore.
Sandy Shore.
Didn't have Sandy Shore over the ground. That would have been a good night for him, wouldn't it?
He wouldn't have been working that night, would he?
No. But yeah, so Dave, we used to go over there in the early days with Dave, and I think he used to take that big car over there, didn't he, as well, drive it over?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, so those were the funny old days, mate, weren't they?
Yeah.
Now, what do you know, Mick, about waltz?
Not a lot, funny enough. I know that you can get them on your body, but don't know nothing about them.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get waltz. All over.
People got waltz.
Oh, back in them days, you know, and they'd come and they'd disappear. Well, let me tell you something about waltz. Dave Thorne had the biggest waltz I have ever seen in my life. Right? Now, if somebody had said, talking about waltz, and he'd go, that's nothing, right? Have a look at that. Now, I'm not joking. This waltz was about, well over ½ inch, you know, high and wide, right? It was a massive thing like that, right on his thumb there like that, you know. And he had, you know, he had trouble putting his hand in his pocket. He used to rip his trousers, you know. But the reason I was saying it, I went down his house one day, and he said, I'll be with him in a minute. He went out in the kitchen. And you know, before the days of the Stanley blades and things like that, you know the double-sided razor, the Gillette razors, they were lethal on their own.
Yeah.
Dave has got this razor blade and he's cutting this wall off. I'm not joking, he's right into this wall and he's going, I'll be with him in a minute, he's going right like that, he's giving it, you know, it never hurt him because it's, you know, his walk's on a bit of dead skin there, like, you know, and he's cut, and I couldn't believe it, and he's cutting this thing, and he cut the thing right off, you know, or as close as he could to cut it off, you know, and there was a little bit of blood spurted about there, but I'll tell you what, I reckon within a month that whole thing had gone.
Yeah?
Yeah, done the job, don't know, you know, yeah, just cut it himself. I mean, there was horrible. It was a horrible thing. Yeah, you know, it was. You know. So, how about when we said we worked at the Greyhound with Dave
in the early days.
In the early days. What happened? What about when we got him up the Daylight Inn on the Christmas Eve? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We had a disco up the Daylight Inn, or Brian Mason did. There's a crew of us went up there to work on the door and organise things, and Dave was designated to be the cloakroom attendant up on, you know, upstairs. I don't know if you remember, used to go up this very little windy staircase to go up to the cloakroom. The place was packed Christmas Eve, snowing outside, remember? And this bloke walks in and he's got a beautiful coat, a full length sheepskin coat, head to floor basically, head to floor. And he takes it up to the cloakroom, you know, disco's a good night, and then of course come time to chuck it out, upstairs is complete and utter bedlam. Dave was giving them raffle tickets as coat tickets, you know, and he was pinning the, you know, you pin the raffle ticket on the coat and obviously give them that. Well, there was absolute bedlam. Now this bloke with the sheepskin coat was one of the last ones up there. In fact, he was the last one up there. And when he went up there to get his coat, all that was left was a fucking pack-a-mac. A pack-a-mac. This geezer come down. He went off his trolley. My dad bought me this for Christmas, cost hundreds of pounds, he said, and all I've got left is this pack-a-mac. And he had he did put it on and walk home with it, not when he needed it because of the snow falling outside. And this bloke threatened to sue Brian Mason and all of that. But I don't know what ever become of that, but it was funny. Yeah. You know. Well, I think that might be about it, mate, for Thorne?
There's one more thing though, Keith.
Is there?
At the beginning of the show, you said that Dave was the original Billy Two Sheds.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Now, did you see the irony in that statement? Because Keith's now got 2 sheds.
That's right, yeah.
I'm normal, I've got 1 shed. So if we met up with Thorne now and Keith just happened to come out and I've got 2 sheds, what do you reckon he would say?
Got 3.
Yeah, got really.
Well, look, we've enjoyed going down memory lane again.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's been good fun.
You know, I don't know, you know, because Dave was a particularly special part of our life back in them days. You know, we were all together. And I actually spoke to him on FaceTime the other night, and it was so I hadn't seen him for over 40 years, and it was though I hadn't seen him for 2 weeks. Yeah. You know, it was, you know, woomph. I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely fantastic. So anyway, Dave, this is a tribute to you. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see everybody very, very soon.
Hope you have enjoyed it, and goodbye to the next time, Keith.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
This has been a Blackmans Bay studio production.